Hello, welcome to Crypto CJ's Trade of the Day. This is the Monday night Zoom edition, and I've got a pretty good crowd tonight. That's really good news because we had some real entertainment in the market today. At about 1 p.m. Pacific, Bitcoin took a giant dump. Of course, you know me, I love to trade the dips. So let's check it out. I'm gonna share my screen, and we will look at the Bitcoin 5-minute chart. And can I get a thumbs up if we can see the Bitcoin chart? All right, good. So this is what was happening earlier today. We had the recent high here of 58.5, and then a trend, and then a big drop here. So we lost nearly 9% in about 4 hours. So these situations are excellent buy the dip situations. As day traders, we love to these point out 1, 2, 3 dips, and we can buy those and usually make 3, 5, even 10% fairly quickly when the coin recovers. So I had the good fortune of doing that on a few of my trades. My best one was this one here, YFI up. This is a Binance leverage token, 3x leverage. I got it right around here. I saw the dip, and then I waited for a couple candles to come back. It was technically only 2 dips. Here's a first dip and here's a second dip. And then I saw the MACD almost about to cross and some positive candle action. So I bought this, and I actually didn't set a sell order. I bought this and 2 others, and then I went, had lunch. By the time I came back, it was up here around 11% in profit. So I got out right away with 11% in about an hour. So as day traders, we like those kind of trades. And then on the other 2 other coins, I made about 5%, 8%. So that's good stuff. None of that has to do with Altcoin Alert or somewhat to do with iCoinPro. And I've talked a lot about how I like to set alerts on the 15-minute RSI. Well, when Bitcoin drops that much, all the alerts go off. You can see all these alerts going off at 1300, Bitcoin, Matic, XLM. So I had about 15 alerts go off in 10 minutes, which is kind of annoying actually. But when I hear 3 or 4 in a row pretty quickly, that tells me that Bitcoin's dropping, and those are usually good dip trades. So any questions on Bitcoin or the Bitcoin drop and how we like to trade those? All right, then let's go over to Altcoin Alert. And most of you in this group are members of CryptNation and or Altcoin Alert, so I'm going to spend some time on this. Those of you who are new, I'll let you know how I like to use the AA scores and incorporate that into my technical analysis and look for good entry and exit points. This morning, XLM was actually up here, and I traded that and made 5% pretty quickly. Yeah, and XLM up from 844 to 859. So, and that was an AA score of 97.4. It's gone down. Obviously, the AA scores have been turned upside down since the Bitcoin drop happened a few hours ago. But let's see if XLM is still in here. It's probably fallen out by now. All right, not finding it right away, and sort of old news anyway. So let's look at some new coins to check out from Altcoin Alert and see if we can make some trades. As you may recall from prior Monday night Zooms, I've got stars marked on the Binance coin on coins that I like to trade. I trade about 80 to 90% on Binance through a VPN. I know a lot of you guys use other exchanges, Coinbase Pro and things like that, but since if you want to ask me about those other exchanges, we can do that. But just for to keep the program moving, I'll be on Binance and their charts. So This coin XRT is not on Binance, but STMX is. It's got a 95.6 rating, so I'm interested in that. If I sort by the AA score, for the most part, all I care about is this column here. These other columns here, these activity columns, aren't entirely relevant to this analysis. So a lot of times this appears to be a contradiction, because you'll get a high bullish score here, then a thumbs down, and sometimes even little poop emojis here when it has a high score. So these are longer term analyses, and what we're trying to do is catch one of these coins to hopefully be in this area here to get 3, 5, 10% on a day trade. So we're going to look at Storm X, click on this, and it'll show us the sentiment here is the white line, the AA score, 95.64, and the coin is currently trading at about 4 cents. And for a while, I thought there was some relationship between these lines, but there is not. From what I've learned, if there was a relationship between these lines, they would both move as I move this axis here. But this is really just a matter of convenience.
Excuse me, CJ. I went back and looked at that training that they had on that. I came away once again thinking that the difference was a good bet.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I didn't make that up, and I got on the phone with Terry from the Slack group for Altcoin Alert. He's probably the most intense chart person I know, and he said it's pretty simple. If there was a relationship, both these lines would move when you do this, and they don't. So yeah, so anyway, and he said that that's sometimes what happens when people look at these purely by the numbers and not as traders. I don't want to be critical of Altcoin Alert. I think they've come up with a pretty great product, but I think and I would like it if there was a strong relationship between between these values, because that would make things easier. On the plus side, I was ruling out trades where the white line was below the green line, or they were like right next to each other, and now I don't have to rule those out anymore. So it does allow for more trades to be considered. But anyway, at least from what I've learned from somebody who I trust, there is no relationship between these. So unless another crypto chart person tells me otherwise, I'm going to go with that for now. As a practical matter, I don't think it makes that much difference. We're really looking for something that's on the uptrend based on sentiment and technical analysis combined. So whether these numbers are close together or not, it's not a big deal. So anyway, let's go to the STMX chart and see what we can find. So a lot of the charts today are going to look like this. You're going to see this big drop here around 1 or 130 Pacific, and then working their way back. So this coin is currently trading in my least favorite place, right on the SMA line, the average between the top and the bottom Bollinger Band. So we do have 2 green candles here trying to push above the SMA line. I think if I saw a couple more trending up, I might be interested in this. See if I can catch it here. Got some resistance here. That would be 3.84%. Some more resistance up here. Obviously, the higher we try to get as an exit point, the riskier the trade is. So anyway, the second exit point I see is this group of candles right here, around 8.5%. So it's one to keep an eye on. You can keep a window open with it, or set an alert. Yeah, I'm not sure. I sometimes set RSI alerts to show me when a coin drops. As you can see, when it When it drops like here below 30, it's usually indicative of a dip sequence. This one dropped, showed at 30, went up a little bit, and then just kept dropping. And then we got the big crashing dip here. And that's where we got the big dip that we could trade from. So yeah, this one's not that exciting to me yet. So let's see what else we have on Altcoin Alert. A lot of times when you look at Altcoin Alert or any other source of information, the trade's just not going to be ready yet. You're going to have to make some kind of note, or whether it's an actual alert on TradingView or something you write down, or some other kind of alert, to get back to it when it's in a position that you actually want to trade it. So, all right, the next one is Engine Coin, ENJ. So I'm going to look at that one. I had that one open already. Let's see, did I trade this one? I actually traded this on a swing trade that I bought way up here. So I sort of ladder bought a swing trade. Bryce put out an email a couple of weeks ago, and I got in too soon when that happens. But since it's a swing trade, I'm willing to hold it for a while. But we're not talking about swing trades now. We're talking about day trades. So I like to look at the day chart to get an overall view of what the coin's doing. And we still have quite a bit of room to get to its recent high, which was right around $4. We dropped nearly 50% from that. And that high occurred, about a month ago. So all kinds of room to get back there. I like to look at the 1 hour chart to see some of the more recent overview. It's kind of choppy here until this drop here. So, and then the 5-minute chart is where I enter all my day trades. It looks pretty similar to the STMX chart we just looked at, hanging around the SMA line. And one candle punches up, and anyway, not much we can do with this. Just when it's here, it can go either direction. It's even going into a squeeze, and so it can shoot up here, or it can drop down, or just go sideways for a while. We don't always know. I like these kind of sequences much better. These are, a very high percentage of the time, these are going to rebound like this. So we are probably too late for this. We could set an alert down in this vicinity, see if it drops into another dip sequence. Or if you want to catch this in a squeeze trending up, you can set an alert here. Right click and add an alert if you want. So, all right, let's see. And then there are other searches you can do, or sorts, excuse me, with Altcoin Alert. You can sort by trading activity, social activity, 1 hour projected range, for super short time frames. I'm usually looking for a 5% or higher on the upper if you use this one. Long-term sentiment, which is a bit misleading. It's a comparison between the last 24 hours of the coin's activity in the last 20 days. Short-term sentiment is the last hour compared to the last 24 hours. So I don't use this. I mean, I'm a day trader, but I'm willing to stay in a coin a whole day. I don't need to limit it to an hour. So I don't use this one very often, but long-term sentiment I kind of like, and trading activity I kind of like. And I've also done some searches or some sorts based on the 24-hour range or change, because sometimes you can catch, if you didn't catch the first pump on a coin, you can catch it towards the middle. Something that's gone up 30 or 40% I usually think is too late, but 10 to 20%, might consider that one. I've already had a couple trades with YFI today that were successful. Look at that, it's beyond, it's more expensive than Bitcoin right now. But, I might look at that one again, or, YFII, UMA, these are all in the 10 to 20% range. If the chart is to my liking, I might get that back into that. Actually, let's look at YFI. So I've sorted based on the 24-hour change. I'm going to go to YFI, and I should have that one here. Yeah, YFI bounced back hard from the Bitcoin dump this morning, and I was able to do pretty well with it, but it's, I don't know, it's, I think, at an all-time high now. Yeah. You know, I will trade at an all-time high occasionally. And when I do that, I will usually use my fib extender. I don't think I used that last week, so maybe we'll do that now. So I'll usually go to the 1-hour chart. And let's say you want to get in on this, but where do you exit? I mean, do you sit here and stare at it, or what do you do? So there's a tool on TradingView over here with the Fibonacci tools that I like to use, called the trend-based fib extension. It's not as technical as it sounds. I'm going to look for where the pattern begins, where the high is, and then come back down. And it's going to give me some values. It's easier to show you than describe it. So I'm going to click here on the bottom, here on the top, and come back down, make this triangle. It really doesn't matter where you go, left or right, as long as it lines up, you know, with your first click. So what most traders use is this 1.272 value. You can take on some more risk and go up to the 1.618 if you want. Some people do that for, you know, for swing trades that they're going to hold for a little while. For this coin, it's currently at the 62,606. So I'll use this. So my potential profit to the 1.272 is 6%. You know, up to the 1.618. You know, about double that. So if I were going to try this, I would probably set my sell order just below this 1.272 value, because a lot of traders use this. And I try to get out around here, 66,280, and get 5 to 6%. That's what I would do. But I think these are kind of risky trades when you're trying to go beyond an all-time high. But you know, in this bull market that we're in, and some of these coins have bounced back really aggressively from that Bitcoin drop earlier this afternoon. It's kind of the way you have to go sometimes.
CJ,
Yes.
does the fib extension only work at all-time highs, or can I use it at any time there's a spike?
You can use it anytime. That's just where I use it. But yeah, some traders will use it, you know, maybe over here. You know, it's like yeah, let's say, you know, this is going on. You haven't seen the data to the right, obviously, and you know, you want to figure out where the 1.618 is. You know, I prefer, you know, and this actually kind of lines up with some resistance here. So, you know, I would usually just use the resistance that's available to me on the 1-hour chart in this scenario. But yeah, you can use it at any place you want. Okay, any other questions on the fib extension before we move on? You know, it's kind of advanced, but it's pretty easy to use.
CJ, just a quick question. I'm having a bit of a struggle trying to maneuver my laptop. I find when I try to use the fib extender that I run out of screen to the top. Can you just show me how you managed to reduce the height of your screen there a moment ago, please?
Sure. I only learned this recently, and I'm a little embarrassed I didn't learn it sooner. There's a couple things you can do. If you click this box here, it'll maximize the pane that you're in, which, you know, so it'll maximize this chart. It'll minimize the RSI and the MACD here. So yeah, here we go. So I'll do that first. And then if you click and drag on these values here, it'll make it bigger and smaller. So you can click and then let go, and then you can even drag down the window even further if you want more room on top. And if you've made a mess of your chart now, it's like, then you can right click and reset your chart. It'll go back to where, you know, the default is. So
There's a third way, CJ.
okay.
At the bottom of that row of numbers you were just moving, there's a blue, it says auto. Go all the way to the bottom of the
Down
screen.
here.
Click on that auto, and it'll turn black, and then go back up to the screen and you can drag it up and down,
Oh yeah, that's cool.
which is what I accidentally found recently.
Okay.
So, 3 ways to do the same thing.
I might like your way better. So
Yeah.
thank you for
Once
that.
yeah. Thank you.
Can you just run through that last one again, please, CJ? I missed you at the beginning.
Yeah, John said if you toggle down here to the auto, see where my cursor is on the lower kind of middle right area. See?
Great, thanks for that.
All right, good. All right. So, let's see, that was on, let's do a trading activity sort. And I was looking at this one earlier, RLC. And I actually set an alert. I'm going to show you something cool on this chart. So I set this alert down here, hoping to catch a dip, but it's not cooperating. But I was hoping to catch it around here, and then I mean, look at the distance from there to the SMA line, over 20%. Love that. So that means you could catch something right around the second deviation on a dip, ride it to the SMA line, get over 20%. That's pretty unusual. Now I probably wouldn't try to get that much. You know, I might be content with this resistance here for, you know, 15 to 18%. That's still a great day trade. So now that this has moved up, and if it punches through the SMA line, I mean, I've got a pretty good AA score. Maybe I grab it around here, you know, even to the top of the Bollinger Bands, 8%. That's good stuff. So I love that kind of trade. That also corresponds with, you know, some resistance right here. So that could be a potential entry and exit point for this RLC trade. And yeah, it's right now the top in the trading activity sort. It's the top value. And it's gone up 17%, which is really good. But, you know, like I mentioned earlier, if I can catch something 10 to 20% at the right time, you know, I like that kind of trade. But as with just about everything we've looked at tonight, it's just sitting here at the SMA line, undecided about what to do. So come on, coins, make a decision. Got spoiled recently with I was actually making trades on here because we were catching some dips and some squeezes. So not quite that lucky tonight. All right, so that's 4 altcoin alert trades I've gone over. Does anybody else want to look at anything else in altcoin alert before I move over to iCoinPro? Even if there's a specific coin you want to look at in altcoin alert. Alrighty then, let's go over to iCoinPro. And this is the Buddy coin crawler. I also want to focus on the RSI SPY. Just looking at this morning. I sort by the 1 hour, and I'm looking for values for dip trades at 30 and below. So what I found is most of these have not recovered fully from the Bitcoin dump that happened at 1 p.m. So what I want to do is pick out some coins, usually that I know, that are USDT pairs and that have good volume, 10 million or higher. So if I can catch something like this volume's not high enough, but if it's got a low RSI in the 4 hour and the low I'm sorry, in the 1 hour and the 4 hour. Yeah, that I think we're going to look at that just because that's the only one that's got that value. But even though I'm a little concerned about the volume, it might be something I would trade and just have a little less money in it than usual. I haven't heard of this token, which makes me think it might be kind of new, and looks like it is. It's only been on Binance since March. It's not a deal breaker. It's been on for a few months. It does have some, some trading action going on with it. So if I look at the 1 hour, Squeezeville, and the 5 minute. Yeah, well, it just keeps going down, lower low after lower low after lower low, and lower high after lower high after lower high. That's something that I will just usually not be that interested in. But we do have a big fat green candle here. Looks like we have some action from Bitcoin trending up. A couple big fat green candles here, so I think that's what's going on with this one. So if we got in now, there's resistance here up to 8%. It's not bad, but it's just too squeezy for me to get in here. And most of the trades I'm looking for with iCoinPro are the dip trades. In Altcoin Alert, I'm more interested in trend trades. So I don't usually do trend trades out of iCoinPro readings unless something's really good. But this is a pretty good squeeze trade. I've got a MACD cross down here. It's below the histogram. That's a pretty bullish sign. RSI is pointing up, but we just got a wick here on the SMA line, just dropped back down. So I don't know. I'm on the fence on this one. Seems to be the trend tonight. So, so any questions on this before we look at a different iCoinPro coin? All right. So let's look at Mirror Protocol. Well, no, this one's fairly new as well. I want to look at something that's been around for a while. Okay, we'll look at Storage. Oh, that's the wrong window. Sort of annoyed with Storage because I had a loss on it a couple weeks ago. So yeah, here's the big drop. And it did come up to the SMA line and then it's just sort of riding it. Now it's going into a squeeze. So if we trade this here, 1.25%, to the top of the Bollinger Band, resistance here about 3.68%. Yeah, I don't think this is very good risk to reward to go into a squeeze like this with only a 2 or 3% potential for profit. So I would pass on this one. All right, so let's go over to the Buddy Coin Crawler. We should see some pretty big numbers. Yeah, a lot of double digits here. We're sorting on Buddy Coin Crawler's average low to SMA column. And the low is the 24-hour low of the coin, SMA line. Well, I've showed you that in multiple charts. So what we're trying to do is find coins that are ready to move, that have a dipped or are dipping and have potential. So this Nervos network, CKB, I've traded this a couple times over the months. Volume's really good. I'm usually looking for a value of 5% or higher on this. We're at 11%. So let's see what we can find here. Come on, iCoinPro. Of course, I do have like 15 windows open and a VPN on, so might have something to do with it. Let's try again. Okay, well, at least we have a different looking chart. Day chart, we are not at an all-time high, but pretty close. 4.4 cents at the end of March. Pretty big dip, coming back, so it's got room to move. Had a big pump here in the wee hours of the morning. It's sort of shrugged off the Bitcoin dump. That's impressive. And now it looks like it wants to pump some more. So this one's kind of interesting. Going to these two resistance points is over 5%, is right around 5%. That's pretty good. I'm going to push a little higher to this resistance, 10%. This is intriguing. My indicators aren't real helpful. We're above the histogram. Ideally, we're below it. MACD hasn't crossed, so we're looking for the blue line to cross this orange line. Kind of like what you see right here. The blue crosses the orange, and it's either in or below these candle-looking things called a histogram. So RSI sideways. This has potential, but I'm not quite ready to get in yet. Might put an alert down here to try to catch a dip, or even probably just keep this window open and check on it every few minutes. But kind of like this one for a squeeze.
CJ.
Yeah.
Sorry. On the MACD, the orange and blue or green, whatever it is, the lines crossing. Are you using the default values that are in trading view, or
I think
did you
so.
change the numbers to those two lines?
I think those are defaults.
12 and 26 is what you got.
Yeah. So if you're not sure, then if you just click on this little gear where it says settings, it'll tell you what they are.
Okay.
And
Thanks.
some traders probably, do that differently. I do
Yeah,
have
I can never remember. I can never remember who's changed stuff. If the Bryce says, "Oh yeah, I changed this from like 50."
Yeah. Well, for example, Bryce has his Bollinger. Does he even use Bollinger Bands? I'm trying to remember. But the default on Bollinger Bands is 20, but iCoinPro recommends 50. They're pretty adamant about it. This is the more conservative value, so that's probably why.
Mhm.
And then in my RSI, I changed that. I think the usual is 14. I changed it to 20 because of a YouTube video I saw. So that was more reliable. So for a strategy I was using.
Okay. So now we know what you've got there that we're looking at. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions on those settings before I probably look at a couple more iCoinPro suggestions? Okay, I think I'll leave that one open. SHIB was a new listing today, so that's going to be volatile. I'm not going to bother with that one. But Ethereum Classic, I did trade this, had to ladder buy it, but I got a halfway decent result over the weekend. This brings up something that I found very interesting in the recent market, that some coins, some older projects like Ethereum Classic and Dash and some of these older coins from 2015, 16, 17 are sort of being resurrected. I think it's because crypto fund managers are looking for places to park their money. I think I talked about this last week, but I'm not sure. If you're a crypto fund manager, you have to beat Bitcoin, and the only way to beat Bitcoin is to not invest in Bitcoin. You have to find different coins other than that to to put your clients' money in, so you can potentially beat Bitcoin. And so they're trying to find the older, more stable projects to do that. And this, in my mind, I think is one of them, because this wasn't doing anything for a long time. And it's not like the tech got better. It's even been hacked a few times. So yeah, see, this was in a coma for a long time and then just shot up recently. But, you know, if I see candle action and you know, chart action that I like, I'll usually check it out. That's something you need to keep in mind. You know, it is helpful to know at least generally what the coins are doing and what the projects are about when you're trading them. It's not totally necessary for day trading, but it can be helpful. You know, it's good to know if you're trading Doge, that's a meme coin, and it, you know, we don't really know what it's going to do fundamentally. But, you know, if you're trading Ethereum and if it takes a drop on you, you know that, you know, millions of people use it, it's going to come back eventually. So, all right, ETC. So that's the hour chart. Again, looks a lot like the charts we've been looking at already. Big dump here at 1 o'clock, good recovery. It's gained most of that back. Now it's just riding the SMA line. So I don't really see a trade here. Could set an alert here in the RSI, right click, add alert. I like to go for the 30 value. And you can put a note here if you want. Potential dip trade. Yeah, create. The longer time frame you use an RSI alert, the less likely it is to go off, but usually the more quality of the alert. I don't use 5-minute alerts as much as I used to. Most of mine are on the 15-minute charts now. And I find I'm getting better results that way. So, all right, any questions on ETC? Let me get out of here. And AVAX, Waves, Doge. Should we look at Doge? Well, I've got Doge up already. Let's check that out. Okay. Yeah, I had some good luck on this. I had a short position, Doge bear on the FTX when this happened, so I did pretty well on that. But then I hung around too long and lost some of my profit, but still overall did pretty well. And then it started pumping up, and I thought it might be on the way to recovery. And now it's dropping again. Seems to be trapped in this range here about, say 58 to 42. It'd be interesting to see if it breaks out, but.
Does Doge really do anything, or is it just supported by Facebook?
I think it's the latter. I mean, it does sort of function as a currency. I mean, you know, certain retailers accept it as payment. So, but other than that, you know, it doesn't have any kind of specialty or anything like that. That, you know, nobody's building, you know, tech on top of it like they are Ethereum and, you know, DOT and some of those. So, yeah. Sometimes this pops up in Altcoin Alert. I traded it earlier in the week. It had a pretty good AA score. Yeah, I traded this. Yeah, on the 8th. It was Saturday. And I could have gotten out with about 5% profit, and I stayed in too long, and then it really took a tumble. So that didn't work out so well. But even after, you know, with my experience, sometimes I try to push for that, you know, instead of being content with 5%, you know, 7 or 8%, and especially as volatile as Doge can be, it doesn't hit it. So that's where it's best on coins that volatile to you know, look at the resistance and then stick to it. So, alrighty then. Let's look at one more. Yeah, Bitcoin Cash is another one that's kind of, well, it has more use than ETC, but it wasn't doing all that much. You know, and then last year. It's just kind of putzing along. It's sort of creeped up a little bit. Now it's pumped up here at 1600 and dropping again. Seems to be stuck in this range here between about 1250 and 1500. Yeah, like even if I got this here, that's a pretty good recovery. Yeah, everything's a squeeze now. Not seeing a trade here. Again, you could set an RSI alert or keep an eye on this and try to catch a squeeze trade, but not loving any of this. All right, so let's see if we have any questions.
I've got one down there where it's just starting where you think it's a squeeze on the right.
On this BCH chart?
Yeah, any chart.
Okay.
Right there. What do you want to see next that's going to make you think it's a real squeeze trade? Because I'm not seeing the squeeze or that bubble.
Yeah, the bubble, we're looking for that for a dip sequence like we have here, the one that happened at 1 o'clock. Now this is squeezing together. It's coming together. You know, we're usually looking for about 2 to 3% between the Bollinger Bands on a squeeze. You know, we got about 5% here, but it's obviously squeezing in from this. So if I'm going to take a squeeze trade, I'm looking for a few things. I'd like to see the MACD below the histogram here. That tells me it has room to move. And I want to see some candle action trending up.
You want to see 1, 2, 3 green candles.
Probably at least like 3 out of 4. And by then it's going to be on the top of the Bollinger Band. So it's going to have to overcome that resistance. You know, a lot of traders use the Bollinger Bands as resistance. And then you're going to have to look at, you know, prior resistance defined. Let's say you get in here, you know, you do have some pretty well-defined resistance here at around 4%. And then some more up here, you know, around 8%. So if I were going to do a squeeze, that's probably what I would do.
I thought you wanted to see a bit of a bubble start there also.
I don't think you need that on a squeeze trade.
Or have I confused? Or have I gotten myself confused?
But you've probably looked at the iCoinPro training more recently than I have, so yeah, you may be right on that. But,
probably have.
But you know, when I think of bubble, I think of this action here in a squeeze. But sometimes, you know, it'll like right here, it's kind of, you know, it's pretty close together, and then it's bowing out some, and then it's pumping up. So maybe that's what you're thinking. I'm not sure, but
I'll have to go back and watch it again for the 1200th time.
Yeah, I've watched the iCoinPro stuff probably 3 to 5 times on all of them, and then
yeah, I'm about at that level. So with this dip sequence, which is to your left there, you go 1, 2, 3 there.
1,
you got a bubble forming.
Yeah, big one. So
and okay, so you're down at the bottom here at the dip, all the way down at the dip. What are you looking for next? That green candle?
It's a good question, because it's not perfectly defined.
What's going to make you pull the trigger?
All right. So what I was looking at, let's look at YFI, because this is the trade I actually made. You know, I looked at the Bitcoin chart and then traded this because I knew it would move better. So that's not a good example. Let's look at the Bitcoin chart. Yeah, thanks, John. Oops. So here's my Bollinger Band. I've got 1, comes back up, and 2. Now this is what we call a crashing dip. This isn't like a little dip like this one here, you know, or this one here. This is a big crashing dip. I mean, this dip by itself, you know, is 3% on Bitcoin, which means it's going to be, you know, probably 8 to 12% on some other coin, on a lot of them anyway. And then it tries to pump back up, and then it drops even again, but it did close in this 5-minute chart above the prior one, which is why it's green. So when I see a big crashing dip like this, I'm looking for probably 3 out of 4 candles to show me it's going to be recovering, and that's not perfect, because sometimes you'll get that and it'll dip again, and that's, you know, when you may have to ladder buy. But when I saw these, you know, 3 out of 4 candles coming back through the Bollinger Band, even though I only had 2 dips, you know, I saw the MACD making a hard recovery. It hadn't quite crossed. I actually got in a little early. Ideally, you'd either wait for probably another candle or wait for this cross to actually happen, which didn't really happen until about 140. But I tend to favor candles over indicators, because candles are current, indicators are lagging. So your RSI and your MACD are lagging behind the action. These are telling me what's going on now. So when I see candle action like this, I got in. I bought YFI up and XLM up and ADA up, and the charts look very similar to this. And you know, those trades worked out. So all I can really do is hope for is probabilities with candles and indicators. So and I thought, you know, I didn't really think of the numbers, like a 2 out of 3 or, you know, 80% chance or whatever, but I thought the chances were good. It was coming back up. Plus this, you know, drop below 54, and it's been a while since Bitcoin's been above 54 or 55 pretty consistently lately. So that's why I pulled the trigger on those trades. And the crashing dip is, you know, when you get the, I think they call it dead cat bounce, when it comes back hard after a big dip like that. You know, I don't think in that situation you necessarily have to wait for a third dip. You can either do that and, you know, miss the trade, or, you know, if it does dip again, you know, you have ladder buying, and you're buying, you know, if you're buying here and maybe down here, you know, if you get back up to your initial position, you're going to have a pretty good trade overall. So anyway. Okay. Any other questions? That's probably all I have for Altcoin Alert and iCoinPro. I do have some other day trading questions here in the chat. So Chris is asking me to do a fib. I think he means a Fibonacci retracement. I do have a video, a crash course.
You did it already when I asked before. Thanks.
Oh, okay. That was a fib extender. So I wasn't sure which one. There's 2 different ones that have a fib or Fibonacci in it. So, all right. So you wanted to know the extension. We did that one. Okay. So we're good. And Ross is asking, have I ever done the 1 hour projected range with good success? I did have some success with that on Altcoin Alert, and then I didn't. So I kind of got away from it. And plus they improved the AA scores, so I found it, you know, not as necessary as before, when some of the AA scores were just not very useful. But now we're getting them. We're usually getting 3 or 4 in the 90s. I can usually find entry points for those at some point in the day, and do okay on those. So, but it's about the 3rd or 4th option I go to if I don't find, you know, the AA scores, the trading activity, or the long-term sentiment. So, and Steve says, thanks for doing this. Thank you. And Chris is asking about 5 up and 5 down. I'm generally familiar with that strategy from iCoinPro. but it's not really how I trade. I use a function called an OCO order, which will usually protect profit for me if something is moving up, and I use that for my swing trades. I think it's beyond the scope of the show to go over that at this point, because I don't know how many of you are on Binance, and I think that's the only exchange that has the OCO. FTX might as well. I probably have to rewatch that training on the 5 up and 5 down to remember how they do it. I do think they're moving. You can also you can use stop losses and move those up as if you're in profit for a while and you want to stay in a coin. But since I focus on day trading, I don't use it that much. So on day trades, I mean, I do in my swing trades, but. And Thomas Gomez is asking about Oxen, OXEN, or is this supposed to be oxygen? I'm not familiar with the coin called Oxen. So I can, maybe that's what he means. Well, there is an Oxen coin, but I'm not familiar with it. So, I mean, I could look at the chart. I do have a KuCoin account, so I could look at that. When you see funky looking candles, that usually means low volume, like nobody made a trade from here to here. So it tells me it's a low volume coin. If I look at the hour, kind of trending down. And the day. It looks like it hit an all-time high here in late April, working its way down. Not that familiar with this, so can't really comment intelligently about it. So, okay, any other questions? All right, well, we're at pretty close to an hour, so I'll go ahead and stop the recording here, and we'll go ahead and I'll hang around for a while and just answer, or we can just, see whatever you guys want to talk about. So for those of you on the recording, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next week. And before I forget, I'm going to start a Friday Zoom as well. It'll be on 3 p.m. Pacific after the Altcoin Alert call. I haven't decided if I'm going to start it this Friday or next Friday, since they might not have the call this week. I will send an email with a new link for that call on Fridays if you're interested. It will focus specifically on Altcoin Alert, so probably a little shorter than this one. But yeah, for anybody who wants to learn how to use Altcoin Alert in more detail than I've even talked about today, then you might want to try to make it on that Friday call. So for now, I'm going to stop the recording. We'll see you next time.